Joining us now in Washington is Solon Simmons, professor at George Mason University and the author of the forthcoming book, The Eclipse of Equality, Arguing America on Meet the Press. Professor, thank you very much for joining us.
Great to be here.
The fiscal cliff is apparently sort of kind of done. The next round is your debt. Is your country in a state of paralysis right now?
I think in some sense we are. I think it's fair to say that this is one of the worst extended and protracted fights we've had in the country for quite some time. The famous Washington Post reporter Bob Woodward said that we're in permanent divorce court, and I think that image is not such a bad one. And the question is, why are things so bad? Why is it so hard for Democrats and Republicans to get along, to even talk with one another? And I think that there really are fundamental visions that differ between them. And the way I like to characterize these visions is that the Republican Party sees a robust, individualistic economy that's based on what I call the 19th century model, where there were fairly limited government intrusions and entrepreneurs were free to do what they would like. And the Democrats see themselves as somehow supporting a 20th century model, which builds on the social protections, what we call the welfare state, including Social Security and Medicare at its core. Those things are very expensive, and the Republican Party, although they don't want to attack those things, find them too expensive to support. Therefore, the debt goes up when we're in recession, and therefore we find ourselves in intractable, perhaps in at least protracted conflict, and therefore permanent divorce court. So there we are, 19th versus 20th century. Very hard to know what the 21st century should be about.
It seems like the White House and Democrats, their point of view is, listen, we won the election, Republicans get out of the way. Is that a healthy stance to take?
It's probably not, and it's hard to say exactly where the difficulty, from which direction it's coming. John Boehner is the leader of the House. He faces a very unruly caucus. Many of his new members are part of what we call the Tea Party, are very aggressive, are very interested in a hard line. And in a recent vote, as he came up for House again, 12 people defected, which turns out historically to be a very large number, even larger than Newt Gingrich faced when he ran for re-election under turmoil. And I think in a sense, it's just very difficult for Boehner to come to the table. Now, on the other side, President Obama is characterized as not liking politics, not liking the game, not liking to schmooze and do the kind of deals. And therefore, Joe Biden stepped in to do some of that work. Mm-hmm. So it comes from both sides. There's a sense of that there's just not much room to move forward, that one of these visions, in a sense, has to have a big public opinion push so that we'll move a little bit in that direction for a time.
Now, there has to be something good on the horizon. You have a brand new Congress. Is it a breath of fresh air, or should voters be holding their noses?
I think it's more the holding the noses side, unfortunately, for now. I long ago described this when Ted Kennedy's seat went to the Republican Party in Massachusetts as trench warfare. And I think we've seen that trench warfare materialize over time. And it really is war. I mean, it's not a physical war, but it is an ideological war, a war of ideas. And one side, I think, has to come out with a little bit of an edge, and so that the public feels that they can push in that direction. It's going to be, I'm afraid, a little bit uglier before it gets any nicer.
Well, war always ends with debt, and debt is going to be your next battle. Solon Simmons, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.